Hello clever people and welcome to my catch-up review. So over the last month or month and a half really, I have been very inconsistent with getting reviews out, and because of that, there are a lot of movies that I have not reviewed that I need to get to reviewing. So I decided I may as well just put all of them in one video. I also didn't want to be behind schedule anymore because I always feel like I'm behind. I'm always coming out with videos 2 weeks after the movie came out, even though I reviewed it right afterwards. So I decided I'm just going to try to get one probably 15-minute long video where I review every movie that I need to catch up, and then I will be good and I can start reviewing movies from the past weekend. So the first movie on our bracket is Shazam. So Shazam I saw so long ago that I kind of forgot a lot of what happened in it. Not that it's much of a forgettable movie, just that all of my criticisms and all of the constructive things that I had to say about it are gone, and all I can remember is the good, which is honestly not that bad. That's not a bad thing for a movie. If all you can remember from a movie is the good parts, that means that it was probably a good movie. What I really liked about Shazam was that it was not only extremely entertaining and willing to take itself seriously, but also still have some lightness to it. What I loved most about this movie was the fact that they took the characters and placed them into a world like ours. A world where superheroes are viewed as supreme and amazing and incredible, and there's toys about them, and because you got to live in a world like that, and you got to feel so grounded in reality, you could relate to the characters a lot better, you could relate to the message a lot better, and overall the stakes were a lot higher for the movie as a whole. I will give Shazam a 7.5 out of 10. Alright, our next movie is Missing Link. So, this is a movie by Lakia, who has made films such as Coraline and Paranorman, some of my favorite childhood movies, so I was super hyped for Missing Link. I don't think that this movie was really up to par with a lot of Lakia's other movies. I think that there are so many better movies that they've done, especially Paranorman and Coraline. Both of those are great animated movies. Box Trolls is so-so, and I would say that this is somewhere between Box Trolls and Coraline. It's really not one of the better Lakia movies, but it's still quite entertaining. It still goes by at a fairly quick pace. My problem with the movie is that it was never all that entertaining and never all that engrossing, and because of that, I couldn't relate to the story much. I just felt very detached from the movie. I will give Missing Link a 6 out of 10. Alright, now we are going on to After. So After is a teenage romance movie that is about this woman who is new to college, and she meets this guy and she thinks he's really hot, and they kind of start forming a relationship. And this movie is utter garbage. I saw this movie when I was on vacation, and I kind of wish that I hadn't, because it kind of ruined the sense of vacation that I was getting. I was totally relaxed and this movie took me out of it. This is a garbage movie. It's horrible. And the reason it's so horrible is because every single thing that one of these teenage romance movies, or really they're college kids, but it feels like teenage romance, what these movies can do to really make you mad, every single thing that can annoy you is in this movie. And overly ambitious woman in it who decides to throw everything away for this guy. Yep, you've got it in there. The fact that she starts cheating on her boyfriend at the time and it's supposed to be played off like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, that happens. All the annoying things like that happen, and because of that, I strongly disliked After. I will give After a 3 out of 10. Alright, now we are going to review movies from the weekend of May 3rd, and we have 3 movies from that weekend I will be going over. They are Longshot, The Intruder, and the Netflix movie about Ted Bundy, which I believe is called Extremely Wicked. So Longshot is a movie starring Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron, and it follows them as Charlize Theron is trying to run for I think not presidency. I think that her goal is overall to become president, but basically she's a very strong political figure, and she is trying to get Seth Rogen, who she used to babysit, to be her writer, and in doing so, they kind of start forming a romantic bond. I'm gonna be honest, I thought Longshot was gonna be terrible from the trailers and just from the vibe I was getting from the movie. I thought that this was gonna be a garbage comedy, and to my surprise, Longshot was actually really endearing. It was really sweet, and it was very funny. I do think that there are about 70% or 75% of the jokes not sorry, 70 or 75% of the jokes in the movie land. So you do get some jokes in there that don't really land, and that does bog down the movie. But overall, this film is very, very entertaining, and it's so entertaining that you can forgive a lot of its problems. When jokes don't land, there's a joke that lands right after it, so it doesn't matter. And I love movies that can go at fast paces like that, where it's not too fast to ruin the movie, but fast enough so that the problems that you have with it fly out of your mind in a minute because you're laughing at something else. And Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen, I thought that was a really weird coupling, but surprisingly enough, it worked really well, and they had excellent chemistry together. They worked so well together comedically and romantically. They played off of each other perfectly. They really fit their characters too, and they fit them in such a way that they didn't play them off as cliches. It's very easy to do that with these characters, because one is a very overworked, stressed political woman, and the other one is a nothing writer, druggy type guy, and those are very easy to cliche roles, but they didn't do that. They made them very, very complex, and something that they did that they didn't really need to do is that they presented them both as equal intellectually. And obviously, Charlize Theron's character is much smarter than Seth Rogen, but the fact that they were viewed as equal, or at least they viewed each other as equal, made the movie a lot more entertaining and a lot more dynamic. I will give Longshot a 7 out of 10. Alright, now we are on to The Intruder. So, The Intruder is a movie about a guy who sells his house to a young African-American couple, and then he decides he doesn't want to give up the house, and he starts going back, and he starts spending more time there, and it's starting to freak out this couple that just bought the house. So that was a really simple plot to a very, very simple movie, and you know, I was not very excited for The Intruder. I thought that the trailer looked kind of cool, especially the song used in the trailer. That's what stuck out to me most. But really, I didn't think that the trailer was anything special. I thought that it was just a decent trailer wrapped around a garbage movie, and I was right. It's a garbage movie. This movie is honestly horrible. And that's really because of the horror in the movie. It really isn't scary at all. There's nothing about it that's remotely scary, and that's fine if this movie is trying to be a thriller, and at times it kind of feels like it's trying to be a thriller, but in the end it does feel like it is trying to be a horror movie, and because of that, it lands completely flat. There's nothing about it that's horrifying. There's also nothing about it that's thrilling. So if they were going for a thriller, it didn't really work either. This was just a terribly balanced movie, terribly blended. A lot of the scenes didn't really stick together. A lot of scenes felt unnecessary. A lot of scenes felt very, very necessary, but they were brushed over too quickly. It's really just a mess of a movie. And this is not a problem that I mentioned much, but I had to mention about this movie. The cinematography is weird because it doesn't follow the rule of threes. And the rule of threes is that the camera makes up a 3x3 box. So like there would be 2 lines here and then like 2 lines that go across there. And the middle box is where you're supposed to put your main action. And the outside boxes are not where the audience is going to look. And this film does terrible with that rule. They put so many things on the other 8 boxes that aren't on the center that completely make you lose your focus on the movie. And if you haven't seen the movie yet and you plan on it, look for that when you're watching it. Notice how nothing is put in the center box. It's always on the outside, and that really took me out of the movie. I will give The Intruder a 3 out of 10. Alright, now we are on to our last movie, which has a long title I'm not going to try to pronounce. I think that the first part is just extremely wicked, so I'm just going to call it that. But anyway, it's a movie starring Zac Efron about Ted Bundy, and I heard about this movie at a film festival. I think it was the Sundance Film Festival where it premieres. I could be wrong, but it was picked up by Netflix and distributed here. I thought that this movie was okay. What I really wanted out of this movie was to be chilled to my bone. I wanted to be terrified because the story of Ted Bundy is so creepy, that he was such a charismatic guy, but also a serial killer, and they don't play that off at all. They play this off like your standard kind of courtroom drama, and at the same time kind of whodunit type thing. It's really hard to explain the genres in this movie because a big problem with the movie is that they don't focus on one specific genre. They go to multiple, and having so many weird mixes of genres and not really knowing where this movie is placing itself was a big problem, because at times, especially in the last scene, it was trying to be terrifying. At times it was trying to tell the story from Ted Bundy's wife perspective. At times it was telling it from Ted Bundy's perspective. It was honestly just a mess of communication to the audience. They didn't have a one track that they wanted to go on. They wanted to go on multiple different tracks, which is understandable because Ted Bundy's story is very complex and there's a lot going on in it. However, for cinematic purposes, you need to pick one path and you need to go down it hard, or you need maybe a second path, maybe something like that. But this movie took like 40 different paths, and because of that, it felt like a jumbled mess. I am going to give Extremely Wicked a 5 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my wrap-up review of multiple different movies. So, what did you think of all these movies? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.